I'm Donna Blanchard, and this is the ThinkTech News for Tuesday, March 3rd, 2015. In Washington, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel addressed a joint meeting of Congress and warned them against what he called a bad deal being negotiated with Iran to freeze its nuclear program. In an implicit challenge to President Obama, Mr. Netanyahu spoke of Iran's tentacles of terror that are already clutching Israel and that failed to stop Tehran from obtaining nuclear weapons. It could well threaten the survival of his country, he said, that the deal with Mr. Obama seeks will not prevent a nuclear-armed Iran, but will all but guarantee it. The address garnered numerous standing ovations while further driving a partisan wedge between Democrats and Republicans. While Mr. Netanyahu's was one of the most anticipated speeches to Congress by a foreign leader in many years, more than 50 Democrats were absent. In a brief address later, President Obama said that he was not able to watch the entire address, but said there was nothing new in Mr. Netanyahu's speech and that he has offered no viable alternative to the issues with Iran. In his annual letter to shareholders, published over the weekend, Warren Buffett not only criticized the performance of Berkshire Hathaway, but he also warned his faithful followers about the street's denizens and how they are always ready to suspend disbelief when dubious maneuvers are used to manufacture rising per-share earnings, particularly if these acrobatics produce mergers that generate huge fees for investment bankers. An investment banker and blogger who has long offered incisive and witty insights about the industry under the name Epicurean Dealmaker offered his opinion about America's most trusted billionaire. He despises investment bankers and employs his considerable folksy charm to scare potential business sellers away from using us for the plain and simple reason that we make his job harder and more expensive. For sellers of companies, investment banks level the playing field. Speaker of the House, John Boehner, in an abrupt reversal, announced that the House would vote on a bill today that will fund the Department of Homeland Security for the rest of the fiscal year, a move that would avert a partial shutdown of the agency, but was likely to inflame conservatives. Mr. Boehner's turnaround came after his leadership team suffered a humiliating setback on Friday, narrowly averting a partial shutdown of the department after his more conservative members revolted against a Republican plan to pass a 3-week funding measure. President Obama is expected to sign the funding bill. Hillary Clinton solely used a personal email account to conduct government business as Secretary of State. This violates federal requirements that officials' correspondence be retained as part of the agency's record. Mrs. Clinton did not have a government email during her 4-year tenure at the State Department, and her aides took no actions to have her personal emails preserved on department servers, as is required by Federal Records Act. Mrs. Clinton's advisors have reviewed tens of thousands of pages of her personal emails and decided which ones to turn over to the State Department. John R. Barron, a lawyer at Drinker, Biddle, and Reith, who is a former director of litigation at the National Archives and Records Administration, said that it is very difficult to conceive of a scenario short of nuclear winter where an agency would be justified in allowing its cabinet-level head officer to solely use a private email communication for the conduct of government business. What's the takeaway for today? Many of the world's leaders employ their natural, engaging charisma. It's our responsibility to do our homework and insist upon transparency whenever warranted and possible. I'm Donna Blanchard, and this has been your ThinkTech Daily News for Tuesday, March 3rd, 2015. Ahui ho!